It's good.
Okay, let's just go for it. So, Sifu Russ, thank you very much for being the only man brave enough to do this first.
I am the guinea pig.
Very much so, the guinea pig. We'll see how it turns out. But yeah, thanks for doing it. We'll just kind of have a run through. Hopefully, it's something that will be an interesting conversation.
I hope it will be.
We'll see. I'm sure at least your students should get something out of it.
Someone somewhere will get something out of it. Yeah, no, I agree.
I guess maybe start by just running through a bit of your background. You can go
so
way back or just martial arts, whatever.
Yeah, I started, my martial background started when I was 11, through me being mugged.
Nice, always a good start.
Yeah, I was mugged for my trainers. Believe it or not, back in the day, in the council estate that I was brought up in, which is pretty grim, in South London.
Yeah.
So from that point on, a week later, I started boxing. I boxed for some time. I then progressed into kickboxing. From kickboxing to Thai boxing.
Okay.
And then from Thai boxing to Wing Chun. And I've been training ever since. So I'm now 44. So 33 years I've been training martial arts.
It's a good bit of time.
It's a long time. I don't know what I would do if I didn't train now. That's the awkward part.
Yeah.
Because I think I'd be very bored and very moody.
That's it. I'm the same. Like I can't imagine I don't have any other hobbies. This is just like my life now. I don't know what I do.
Martial arts is life. So general other fitness. I do a lot of cycling. Train with a lot of kettlebells, as you can see. And I've been lucky enough to train with some of the best strength athletes in the UK that have taught me and qualified me in certain things as well. So yeah, I've been quite lucky. I would say I'm one of the old school breed.
Definitely. There is like a noticeable difference between some of the like old school martial arts and some of the new ways of doing it. We've definitely got softer as a genre
100%
in general.
100%. You know, I'm Mr. Chilled Out because as long as you've got a t-shirt, it's fine. Really, everybody should have a full uniform.
Yeah.
But what they're wearing isn't going to change whether they can defend themselves or not, really.
Yeah.
You know, maybe tight jeans, you won't be able to kick someone in the face. But if you're wearing tight jeans, you know, that's one of them things, isn't it?
Yeah. You make your bed, you lie in it.
That's the one. That was one of the best reference points I had when I used to buy trousers from the shop. I'd be in the change room, kicking the air.
100%. I am exactly the same. I'm thinking like in your clothes,
they're good.
How much movement have you got? I talk about that like. Yeah, like could you actually run in these? If you're like, oh no, I'm talking for self-defense is my main purpose. Yeah. You're like, could I run in this? Can I kick in this? Can I do my whatever shit in this?
Can I get away? Can I? You know? Yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, I've been quite lucky over the years to train with the right people at the right times. You know, I've been to multiple seminars in the UK, some secret seminars when people came into the UK. It's like, don't tell anyone you're training. I've done that, obviously, and been with the organisation now. 17 years I've been in the organisation. Yeah, so we worked out the other day, myself and Sifu, and my club's been open now for 11 years.
Yeah, it was last week or the week before was anniversary class, wasn't it?
Anniversary class last week. So, you know, as I said to you in class, it's not like to have someone do something for even 11 years is massive. You know, it takes less time to be a doctor, I believe. You know, you know, to stick at something by any means for any person for 11 years, 5 years, 11 years, you know, that is a long time to stick at something. And I do feel these days people don't stick at stuff as long as they should do. And like I say, that's the difference. What I would say between old school breed and the new school. Whereas old school people have longevity. And they understand that it will take a long time.
Yeah, especially with the more like traditional martial arts, I guess, as well. Like there is a lot more of that culture traditionally, like with Wing Chun or even stuff like karate and things like that. Everything. It's more of like a lifelong thing rather than just like come in and like learn your chain punches. And,
it's a habit.
Yeah.
You know, you make it a habit. Make it that you train 2 nights a week, 3 nights a week. You know, 10 minutes a day. It becomes a habit. You know, 10 minutes a day over a week is just under an hour. You know, and it could be doing that while you're running a bath. It's not like
that's the thing. There's always stuff that you can
100%
do.
You know, 100%. And for me, I think that kind of way of living is kind of gone now because it's too much. Like I wrote that blog was that it's a quick fix society. you know, you press a button, you've got donuts at your door in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
People want to press a button.
Can't do that with Kung Fu.
And I'd be installed with Kung Fu. With like, in 10 minutes, like, I know Kung Fu like Neo, you know, it's a bit like, so yeah, it takes more work sometimes than I believe what people think. And some people, that is a bit of a shell shock, and some people go, actually, I can get my teeth stuck into this. Insane with your training with jiu-jitsu and your Thai box. You know, there's stuff to get your teeth stuck into all the time.
Yeah. You can always be doing something to improve.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, there's a time and a place. You know, and it's good to comparisize yourself against other people within your classes to kind of see where you're at. But at the same time, the most you've got to comparisize yourself is against you. Like, where can you progress yourself to? And I believe, as you know, the more you put in, obviously, the more you get out. You know, it's like COVID. I know COVID is a thing of the past now, but COVID was a beautiful thing for me because I was in here, I had my gym, and I just trained.
Yeah, that's cool.
Just trained and you know what? It was quite. A lot of stuff becomes self-explanatory to me, and you know, you need your Sifu, you need your instructor, you know, your sensei, whatever. You need them to be able to say to you, know, tweak this, change that. But they could say that to you 100 times, and you still won't tweak this or change that. But the moment you feel that for the first time, you have a platform to work from.
Oh shit! Maybe he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Maybe, you know, but I had a lot of that in COVID, and it was like, you know, you get caught up with going through motions, and especially people I see like becoming instructors, they become lazy. They become lazy, and you know, I would like to say if someone took a snapshot every time of me doing a movement, it would be as it should be. Every time as you're doing it. You know, not perfect all the time. No one is. That's life, right? But so I made sure during COVID that when I trained with the diligence of making sure that my positions were on every single line where they should be, with precision. And that now has sprungboard me like loads. It's helped with all of the chi cell sections. It's helped with like the wooden dummy forms and stuff, and getting more energy from the form, more reborn. You know, so for me that was a massive thing. And obviously, as I discussed with you just now, teaching someone online.
Yeah,
never would have done that ever before.
No, why would you?
You know, that's working out. Like, they come to see me, you know, once a month, every 2 months for like a full day's worth of training, top up on the pressures. I didn't think that would have worked.
Yeah.
And you've met the person, right?
It works. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It works. You know, maybe not so much from a complete novice, because they wouldn't have a clue.
Sure, yeah. There's so much like foundational stuff you've got to do to build that up.
You have to be in class. You need to be with your peers. You need to train with multiple people, and you need to have an instructor that's like there.
Yeah.
No, because that's like the babysitting period. Do you know what I mean? But someone that's come in halfway into the system, it works.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know whether that would be the same with other martial arts, because it's the weirdest thing.
Yeah. Well, it's weird that Wing Chun of all arts is one that you can do that with, because it's so sensitivity oriented. Sensitive. You would think that's one of like like you can teach anyone to shadow box and like throw jab cross or whatever and get that really technical just by looking and adjusting. Like, you don't have to ever hit anything to be able to throw that.
Yeah.
But like something so sensitivity based is so strange that you can do that.
What I've had to do is change the way that I teach. Whereas before I was very much, it sounds cliche, I was external. You do this because of this. This is the reason why you do that. Now, when I teach someone online, I'm like, you move this way because you feel this, this, and this, which then transpires to your leg, which then gives you pressure in your lower back, which is this. And you can see the person literally tweaking in front of you, and you're like, and they're like, yeah, I've got that. And for me, it's like, it's just changed the way I teach, because even sometimes now when I'm in class, you know, I can relate to how it feels to me, as you've just discussed with me off camera, and it was like, change that.
Yeah.
And it's my memory of that feeling, which could tweak your training for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, it has brought into a world that, you know, it's quite weird, but it works weirdly.
Yeah, I guess it's just another evolution for like your own training as well, because that must be hard for having trained for so long. There's only so much you can like. You must hit like peaks and troughs of
all the time, you know, and you're right, mate. You know, people think that being an instructor is the best thing in the world. It can be, but it can also be the hardest thing in the world, because what people don't see behind closed doors, the bombardment of messages. I can't do this. I can't get there. When's this seminar going on? Then the emails coming in, and you're just frantically there.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hang on, I've got to, and a lot of people have opened clubs, even under my umbrella, and 2 months in, they're gone, I can't do this. Even though they're getting all the guidance and the help that they can possibly can through my mistakes, what I've done. It's so involved. It's so involved. But having a club that works is rewarding.
Oh yeah.
Because every time I come away from teaching class, I'm buzzing, like absolutely buzzing. And if I didn't have that feeling, it'll be time to shut the door.
Yeah, that's the thing. Why would you do it if you're not enjoying? Like it's not a full-time thing for you, is it? It's obviously
I have another business.
An expertise. Yeah, that's the thing. You've got your family, you've got your full-time business and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you weren't enjoying it, why would you do that?
I've always said that you do it because you want to do it. If it comes, like the financial side of it, or you're looking to quick fix people and fast track them through gradings and all that, that's the wrong reasons for me. Like for me, I do it because I want to do it. I get the reward, seeing people move and understanding something for the first time or the second time, or then doing it repetitively, and then we're moving on to the next stage. That for me is where I get my kicks from, and I think that's why I still do it today.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's if everyone said to me I can't pay you tomorrow, I would still teach class.
Well, there you go.
Do you know, I've done it for students previously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you can't afford it, that's fine. Still come and train. You put your legwork in. I'm happy with that. Let's go. Just keep moving. And it's the same any martial art. Just keep moving. Keep trying to do something.
Yeah, it's attrition. Just over time, eventually, it comes through. I guess, doesn't it?
It does. And as people progress, I mean, I can't really speak for other martial arts, i.e., like what you're doing, but there's going to be sticking points. And even for me, even after learning the full system, and learning the knife form for me was ridiculously hard.
I remember you said this before.
I learned the Leung Ting Wing Chun, 45 minutes. I had the form down, like literally down, playing around, doing what I had to do. Come to the bar chum down, didn't have it. And at my time, I couldn't afford to buy a proper knife, so I was actually training with kitchen knives, like to get the realism there. Make sure I don't get it wrong. So and it took me 5 years to learn the knife form, and I hated it. And like everybody who knows me will know, I say this all the time. But I trained it, even though I hated it, to the point where I got to enjoy the hate.
Yeah.
And then it was all like, oh, actually, this is actually quite a good form, and it changed my striking.
Yeah, you've said that before as well, which I've found really interesting. Even some of the, like, I've not done much of that stuff only when you've done like odd bits in classes and things, but some things you showed me make a lot of sense. And are actually some of the best I found for translating to some other martial arts as well, like when I put it into my boxing and things like that. But it's an interesting form, that.
Yeah, it's something that I always thought I would get it, like no problem, but I don't know. I just struggled with it. It was one of them things that it was my first major sticking point in Wing Chun.
To be fair, that's quite far down the line. You've done all right on that.
But quite annoyingly, quite far down the line. I sooner would have been stuck further down and gone, I can work through this. But to get to the end of the system and go, I can't do it. Like I said, but it was 5 years, and most people don't even stick it. For 5 years. It was 5 years of just trying to get
I've barely been doing it that long.
And I hated it, into the point where my sister was like, "Oh, trading knives." I was like, "Okay, do we have to?"
Yeah.
And I think even with my notes, I still make notes today when I'm self-training. But because I'm training to be perfect. It will never come, but I aspire to be the best I can possibly be at any time. But I still make notes now, and it's little things like you said. Oh, my left knee felt a little bit weird on that movement. So if it ain't comfortable, it ain't right. You're not supposed to be uncomfortable whilst you're doing your martial arts. So I still make notes, and then I hone in on that one specific thing. And then that could take me off 2, 3, 4 months worth of training for myself. Again, it's not just I train it a couple of times and it's done. It's like, no, I come back to that. But that's half the enjoyment.
Yeah, it's just fine tuning.
Yeah, it's half the enjoyment. Finding something that isn't quite working and really working it and then making that work. Like I always say to people as well, pick a theme that you're working in the background.
Yeah.
You know, just have that stored away in the back of your head. You come to class, you have your private lessons with me. Like, yep, we'll do this, this, and this. Keep that to yourself. Practice it in class against other people. See how you get on.
Yeah, just keep trying that.
And that will make you better, or the people better. But yeah, you know, and the class environment, you know, we're lucky enough to have some real nice people in our class.
Yeah, we got a wicked class actually.
Yeah, there's no, it's kind of like the older generation. got a few young'uns in there now, the younglings. But most people, I've been teaching a long time, 10 years plus.
Yeah,
which is commendable on their behalf, because to put up with me for 10 years plus is quite mad. You know what I mean? So
a lot of push-ups in that time.
That's a lot of push-ups. In fact, my neighbour was cussing me this morning as he walked past from last week's class. I thought it'd be his legs, but it was his push-ups. So yeah.
And what do you think it is? Because obviously you're saying you've done a bit of boxing, a bit of kickboxing, Thai boxing, and you didn't do that for like an insignificant amount of time either.
No, I've done it for a few years.
Yeah,
I've done it for a few years.
I think you said you were Thai boxing 5 years,
I think it was. And for me, it was, the training was great.
Yeah,
like the training was epic. I was in fittest shape of my life.
It's brutal.
It is proper hardcore, right? And the guy who used to coach me was called Den, who used to train with Benny the Jet.
Oh yeah. You said that before.
So for me, it was like I would go there 2-3 times a week, and you know, I looked at this dude when I first walked into his gym, and I just heard like, it was a bit like Tong Po, you know, like when he's kicking the concrete post.
Yeah.
You know, it was like that. I walked in the heaviest sandbag, and this little bald dude, was kicking this bag.
Yeah.
And the whole room was shaking, and I was like, wow, you know, like this is epic. I used to train out of Kingston actually. And I got involved with him, and I went to the Thai boxing side of it more just to learn to strike and to learn. I never really got involved into fighting and stuff, but I used to train with the fighters. I used to spar with the fighters. I used to get my head kicked in quite a bit. But for me, at the time that I was doing that, I was an ambulance driver as well. Blue light in the hospital transport with babies and stuff. And I was coming back from training just smashed to pieces. I had no skin on the bottom of my feet, you know, just blisters everywhere, shins bleeding, you know, black eyes sometimes, and obviously my nose.
Yeah,
is
those
still
are always
very,
fun to explain at work.
Yeah, you know, what happened to your eye? I fell over. So, like for me, what happened then is I would deem that as an external, because it's all about the external strikes. So I started to look into like Chinese internal systems, and then I was looking at Bagua, Wing Chun, White Crane. I started to look at. There was one other one, Lao Gar.
Okay, yeah.
So they were kind of like the ones that I was looking into, and a friend of mine that I've trained with for many years said to me, "Oh, there's a Wing Chun club." Da, 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 da. I was like, okay. So we popped down, and I actually drove the ambulance to the place where we were training. And I was only going there to view. We went to a few, and we didn't rate the instructors that much. And we found this one club, and we're like, okay, cool, we'll go down there for a bit, and ended up joining. Trained there for a few years, got up to assistant instructor level. Then I had the birth of Ethan came along. Then I had to move off, and you know, it was a bit of a up and down sort of ride.
Sure.
People have come across in and out of my life. You know, I never look at previous instructors as a bad thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Like never. They all gave me something, and I couldn't move the way that I'm moving now without them. Yeah,
definitely.
You know, I hear people slating off their previous instructors and that, but I'm not really one of them. You know, people have their faults. Everybody does. I have my faults. You know, people have better ways of doing things. People have better ways of explaining things. But I couldn't be who I am now without that history.
Yeah,
and I won't
sure.
forget that. I won't forget that. That's a valid point that I think gets overlooked a lot with people, because it's all about your club's better than my club.
It gets very bitty.
Look at my lovely flooring I have in my gym. Mate, it doesn't matter. Like, it's just flooring. Are you going to be able to lay out a 2-inch mat on the streets? Like, no, you're not. Do you know what I mean? You're not. It might look good aesthetically, and well done for getting it to that point. But you know,
that doesn't change the actual training itself.
Yeah, it doesn't. And you know, my Sifu says to me, like, and I love this saying, he's like, some of the best Wing Chun can be found in the smallest places in the world.
Yeah.
You know, in a hut. you know, in a converted garage. You know, it doesn't have to be in a. If the person can move, the person can move. It doesn't have to be Wing Chun. You know?
Yeah, that's the thing.
If the person can move, the person can move. So yeah, so that's one of the things I'm quite lucky about.
And so, why is it that you? Because it's interesting you actively sort out like an internal system. Not a lot of people go from like combat sports to like internal kung fu style stuff.
You know, I think for me it was I wanted to see where I could like potentially go with not so much the striking idea, but more of like the health, the holistics, you know, the longevity of training.
Yeah.
You know, I could see no longer than 25 years old as a Thai boxer and being efficient.
Yeah, you're just banged up. Yeah, everything, your shoulders out of whack, your hips fucked up.
It just gets a bit like. So again, like, you know, as a fighter, it's a different mindset.
Yeah, sure.
It's a different mindset. You're a fighter. You know, the person's in front of you. They don't exist.
Yeah.
You know, you have that switch as a martial artist.
Yeah.
But as a martial artist,
it's not the sole focus.
You know, I don't necessarily want to kill that person. But I'd like to maybe just dismember them a little bit.
I like them to know that I could.
Yes, just held back on you. You know, but you know, it's the world that we live in now. You know, unfortunately, being a trained person, you know, you could hit someone softly, which you think is softly, and they may just fall a bit awkward.
Yeah,
and you are done. You know, like even for me now, you know, the more the you know, the less you will use it. And that's where I felt like I kind of wanted to go with it with my training, because it was like, I've had all the bashed up stuff. Now it's like, how can I be soft and still kind of overcome to a point where I can use my self-defense?
Yeah.
You know, don't get me wrong, Wing Chun is, as you know, like we've got a lot of throat strikes, eye gouges.
Oh,
you know,
there's some gnarly shit in there.
Yeah, there's more in it than people know. But, you know, you poke them in the eye, they can't see you, they can't hit you.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, there's lines everywhere. And it's just a world that, you know, CCTVs everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, you can't really get away with anything anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, going back to like your question, it was more for me to work the inside out, you know, and go for more longevity of training. And then I've always been, it was quite weird, I've always been quite watching the old school kung fu films.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
You know, like Prodigal Son. And have you seen all them? If you ain't seen
them, I've seen a lot of them. I'll be honest though, I came at the wrong time. I got into Wing Chun like separately.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Whereas a lot of people kind of came in from like Bruce Lee and stuff like that. Yeah. I had to play catch up.
Yeah,
I was like, I've seen Bruce Lee. Yeah,
makes me sound old. You know, and I looked at people that Bruce Lee was obviously there, but for me, Jet Li was more of the man that I looked at and go, oh, okay, this guy can like properly move. Do you know what I mean? And I tracked down to him doing videos from when he was a small kid doing wushu, and I was like, oh, I quite like this. You know, I quite like this. And in the council estate that I was brought up in, there was a taxi driver. Funny enough, his name was Dave. They all called Dave, I believe. Yeah. And he trained Tai Chi. Now, at the time, I thought Tai Chi was, you know, in the park.
Yeah, it's the old people doing the
No, there's a lot to Tai Chi than what people think. Yeah. And he actually slapped me out one day outside when I was trying to use kickboxing on him, and he was really powerful and really rooted, and that sort of sparked it, I think, for me. I was like, dude, like, he's an old guy, but he can move, but he moved very slowly, but still managed to get me.
Yeah.
And that for me was like, wow. And I was slightly embarrassed that it was a bit, you know.
Oh yeah, there's always a bit of ego there.
Yeah, I was the young guy. I was like, you know, but again, I think that kind of thing with the fighter mentality, you know, you have that confidence. You know, I'm a fighter. You know, like. Yeah. Whereas now I'm like, how's it going? All right.
Yeah.
You know, and I laugh with you in class. Go, if I don't have this on, I feel like I can't do what I can do. It's just like I put this on, I become like Batman. You know, so. Yeah, I think that was more it, mate. Like, was literally to get more longevity out of it now. And this is why I do like cycling and kettlebells as well, because it's motion based training. It's not like your normal deadlifts, and you know, I try to look at working under load. You know, cycling, I look for like mobility. You know, power in the quads, the legs. You know, it helps with my kicking, it helps with my stance. So I've been quite particular with what I've chosen.
Where you get into, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did sustain a bad injury a few years ago where I prolapsed 2 discs in my back.
Oh, I think I remember.
That was horrific.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrific. So again, I had to modify my training from there.
Sure.
And now, weirdly, I find that if I don't train, it feels worse.
Right.
So I am currently still seeing physio every now and then.
Yeah, sure.
You know, just to maintain and move. Again, I'm getting old now, mate. You know, like, you know, I'm 44, so you know the grey hairs are coming either side of the beard. But you know, look in class. We've got a 65-year-old in class.
Yeah.
We've got a 63-year-old in class.
Well, that's the nice thing with Wing Chun. It doesn't really matter about your age so much because it's all quite relaxed and like it's not super taxing on the body.
No.
You do all right.
No, yeah, it's you know, it is. I mean, I always say to the older generation in class, if I can be moving like them when I'm their age, I'll be very, very happy. You know, it's ballsy what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't like to get a punch off both of them. They are full on head cases. Do you know what I mean? But again, like, you know, it's not all about the fitness side of it, the conditioning. You know, it could be like, you know, we look at some stretches some weeks, and you know, how can we mobilize a little bit better? You know, how can we help strengthen ligaments? How can we, you know, just general well-being?
Yeah, that's super important as well. And I know there's a lot of that in traditional Wing Chun as well. Like even like in Hong Kong, they're big on it when I was over there training. Like the way that even in the forms and things where they're stretching the ligaments, and like you talk about the Huden Saos, and then in the Ba Chun Dao form as well. It's all preparation, the Buji and stuff.
It's all preparation for further.
It's all built in.
Yeah, it's all, you know, and this is where it's. I believe it's more of an internal system. It's you know, it's training you, it's preparing you for well, it's obviously originally for war, but to make sure that you can mobilize. You know, having that flexibility on your wrist is kind of not normal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you touch hands with a beginner when they're coming off the street, and they're just like,
yeah,
and it's like, wow, this is really easy. You know, like because you're relying on that strength. You know, like men are very much like, you ain't going to move me. You push me a little bit, I'm going to push you big back. You're like, thanks, see you later. You know, and that's why I always say, like, you know, it's good to try and combine everything. You know, the soft, be really soft. There's different ways you can train Wing Chun hard if you want. It's not. You know.
There are some styles as well out there which are more like
Indonesian have got quite a strong, like hard Wing Chun. I mean, but it totally can be done. It totally can be done.
I mean, it's a super explosive art anyway. Like if you take some of the internal elements out of it and you just look at the techniques and how the body mechanics work, very explosive. It makes sense that you can see it being like boxing. Like the same way that, you know, box is very explosive, just slightly different strikes and angles and things.
From nowhere as well. Like, literally from nowhere.
That's what is most unique, I think, for Wing Chun is the way it generates power. Like that's actually what kind of made me first interested in it. Is it's so different to anything else. As a bit of a dork about martial arts in general, like having looked at other martial arts and be like, oh, that's interesting how this works and how this works and how this works. They're all largely similar. Like you can go Thai boxing versus Taekwondo versus Eskrima, whatever, and the mechanics are all kind of the same. Wing Chun is just way off piece from that.
Very weird. It took me some time to get my head around. Head up, back, you know, guard position. You know, Iris was very, very weird. You know, I was just like, you know, you're totally going to get kicked in the nuts. And then it's like,
you can see why people get a bit funny with it.
You know, like totally. You know, but there's more to that. You know, we have a lot more different stances, a lot more different ideas of angles, and you know, it just there's so much more in it. But I think the misconception is this is that form, this is that form, you know, and it's like no, they're formless in the end. It blends, you know, so you can take this half of this piece of footwork from this one and add that half of this piece of form from, and then it becomes one, you know, so it's very, very different, you know, but I think that's a bit of an eye opener, you know, which is what I've experienced over the last, you know, 2 to 3 years, maybe, where the system just becomes free. Like,
I can't wait to get there.
It just becomes,
I'm like a robot.
It just becomes free, you know, and it's like the moment you would try to do a technique, it's wrong. It's wrong. You've already messed up, you know. Like if you just figure striking a person, that's the easiest scenario. But
it's so funny listening to you say that because I know what you mean and I know you're right, but actually making yourself do it when you're training is something else. I think about it every time.
But you know,
never done it.
That's a testament to your good nature, you know. But then I've seen you in videos in the Thai boxing ring in the middle of Thailand, having a tear up. You know, so you've got that mentality.
Yeah.
But I think you care a lot about your peers, which is fantastic, like absolutely fantastic. And that caring nature, believe it or not, will come round for you in years to come, where you will actually learn faster by being like that.
Right.
Because you're helping. So what that's doing is it's reaffirming what you know to you.
Yeah.
So you're becoming almost like me. Do you know what I mean? You're teaching.
I wouldn't go that far, but
yeah,
yeah,
it's fine.
I know what you mean.
That will get you tattooed soon. You'll be fine. So yeah, mate, that's kind of where I'm at, like with that. So it's interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
It just keeps going.
And those other attributes, like your cycling and your kettlebells and things, obviously you're quite into that. Taking away like the technical element from Wing Chun at the moment, how important do you think those attributes are, like separately? Like, would you say if you have a student and you can draw them from blank, they're a fully blank canvas, you can decide exactly how they're going to train?
Yeah.
How are you like splitting that? Are you like, don't bother at all, like focus on your technical elements, focus 50-50 strength and conditioning, as it were?
This is a good question, yeah, because a lot of people think that muscles are beneficial. Obviously, you need muscles, otherwise you won't stand up. But
there's definitely some benefit to them.
Yeah. You do need some. I have a motto, and that's like muscles for show are not the same as muscles that go.
Love that.
Right now, if you was hanging off the edge of a cliff and you need to pull yourself up to save your life, that's functional strength.
Yes.
Now, functional strength is kind of what I believe in. Yeah. Now, whether you want to add a load to that, then that's fine as well. But from the beginning stages, I definitely think body weights, squats, press ups. Because the pattern of the press up is the same as the punch.
Yeah.
So you're mimicking the correct muscle groups that you need at that time. Would I say 50-50? No, I would probably say 80-20. Really learn to move first, because with muscular tension comes obviously tension.
Yeah.
So as a Wing Chun guy, I would say I would look to train the muscles behind the muscles. So like your fast twitch muscles. So, like cliche as it is, Bruce Lee hung paper from the ceiling.
Yeah.
Learn to hit the paper, go through the paper. One that I used to do was the focus pad against the wall, and then keep the focus pad against the wall.
I've tried that a few times.
That's not worked for me.
Yeah.
It hurts if you get it wrong. Wall bag training. So you're training your muscles for endurance a little bit more. Now, don't get me wrong, strength training and weight training is very, very beneficial.
Yeah, all round, regardless of martial arts. Yeah,
it doesn't
it's going to be good for you.
It's beneficial. It's beneficial for your nervous system. It's beneficial for your cardiovascular system, your respiratory system, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So you do need it in your life. But as a beginner, you've got to look. First of all, the beginner may come to you because they've had some form of trauma.
Sure.
They may have been bugged. So you may have to train them mentally first and instill confidence before the kinetic side of it starts.
Yeah, sure. Because that is such a big element when you talk about the self-defense world, because obviously Wing Chun is for self-defense. Yeah. There is such a difference to like the actual shock of the system, shock to the system, sorry, I should say, than you realize. Like, you can be all slick as shit with your Wing Chun and stuff, and then the first time you really get smacked in the face, it's like that. Like, whoa,
where did that come from? Yeah, I mean, you've been hit.
Oh yeah.
Once you've been hit a couple of times, you're like, okay, the first couple may sting a bit, but
yeah, it's not that bad actually when you're acclimatized to it. That's
and the one that is bad, you don't feel it because you go to sleep.
That's the one to worry about.
But I think people have this whole built-up thing. I train martial arts. I'm never going to get hit. Which is why we do the sparring classes now.
Yeah.
Like, it's a bit more upbeat. But some people don't like that.
Yeah.
Because some people just want to train to say they do
the
martial art.
It's a bit of a, like, what's the phrase? When you're a glass shattering, like this illusion, suddenly you go,
because like you say, once they get put under pressure, it's a bit like, I don't like this. Whereas you and I would probably turn and go,
I love
that didn't work. That bit didn't work, so I need to work this a bit more. It just puts. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, obviously, we don't go hell for leather.
Oh yeah, smashing each other about, gouging eyes. Not most of us.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to. He's all right now. No, he's all right now. Accidents happen, man. But when I train like with my Sifu, it's heavier. I want to train with the people that I train with, like Sifu Wayne and stuff as well. You know, I've had broken ribs.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
I mean, I broke my rib in class with one of the students when I was testing them. That was horrific, just before Christmas. But the student done it.
Nailed it.
So I made him do that to me, you know, so really he's done the right thing. But yeah, I think, you know, you should get used to elements of stuff coming to your face, you know, and not only that, you'll start to learn where shapes, i.e. your bong or tan or whatever, where they work and where they fail.
Yeah.
Because where they work and where they fail then becomes the transition. Once you have the transition, you're onto your next shape and it will start to work more efficiently for you. I mean, we've gone into this in great depth in stuff, but you know, this is like I say, you can't get in the ring with a boxer and expect to box.
Yeah.
You can't, because you will get smashed up. You know, you've just got to work within the realms of yourself, which is why I say that this is, I believe, is more an internal
thing. Yeah.
For me, that's how I feel about it. You know, so instead of going, how are you doing that? I always say, how can I, you know, work with that? How can I use that? So it's not always what they're doing; it's what I'm doing. That's the biggest thing that I've changed.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's quite deep. It's quite deep. You know, haven't been up to the mountains or with anyone. I would love to, but I haven't had the opportunity yet. But I think it would be good to listen to some of them. I have read the book on Taoism and you know, just thought, oh, that's interesting. You know, he's like, you know, going back from the old school WT days, you know, them guys used to move.
Oh yeah.
Like how I feel I move. Like, but then there was that patch of not moving so well. And then now it's kind of like, oh, so if the first kind of guys were moving really well and they had a complete understanding, that's where you need to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that was an interesting one, because Wing Chun has a bit of an interesting history where it's all a bit muddled anyway.
Yeah.
But the more modern, like Ip Man and his students are like the nowadays most regarded.
Yeah.
And you hear some of them incredible.
Yeah.
And then you look at, actually, in recent times, there's so many videos of Wing Chun guys getting fucked up.
Oh,
by
yeah,
boxers
mate,
and
I see it online all the time.
Oh, it's horrendous.
It's just like, but these guys, I just don't think these Wing Chun guys know what they're doing.
No, that's the thing. They all go for that proper traditional stance. They think it's like a challenge match, like in the Hong Kong rooftops back in the day.
Yeah, and it's just like, you could see from the opening, you're like, dude, you're going to get fed to the lions.
Yeah.
But, you know, if they want to test themselves in that way, you know, that's fine.
Fair enough.
You know, I actually don't watch any videos of Wing Chun anymore because...
Oh, so much of it's so bad.
It can be bad. It can be bad. It can be quite good.
Oh, there's good stuff out there.
I've been quite diplomatic at the moment.
That's all right.
No, but, you know, like I said, everyone has their reasons for doing stuff.
Yeah.
And I think in the beginning stage, it's like, what, you know, why is he doing that? Why is he doing that? Why is he doing that? And then I just came to realise that it doesn't matter why he's doing that, because I'm in my lane doing my stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with what I can do. Like, let them do what they want to do.
Yeah, if they want to get absolutely murked by something.
Exactly that.
You crack on, have a good time.
You know, it's one of them. But, you know, it's just weird how it goes from traditional. And like I say, obviously we're in Leung Ting Wing Chun, where I found it as the most mobile and aggressive form of Wing Chun.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Having explored a couple of other styles of it now as well, it's also probably the most different from others, I think.
It's very live. The rest are quite... I would like to explain the rest as square. Quite blocky with their movements.
Yeah, a lot more will have harder stops.
Lots of
and
pulls in,
more like circular movements and things.
Which is I find that this one's more like transitional and just sort of keep going. Which is why I found this one, for me, was the better one. You know, but... You know, like I say, it kind of went into the grey area where people were just cash cowing people to teach them, and you know, unfortunately, I've seen it. I've been
that's
involved
the problem,
in it. You know, where people are like, you know, there's my credit card machine. It says, I'm like, no, not for me, thanks, dude. But you know, to come back from that and just to train, you know, what you've got. It's good to train with other people. As I said this to you before, like, you know, when you said I'm going traveling, I was like, wicked, man, well done. Like, I wish I could have done the same thing at your stage, but I just haven't been blessed like that. So, you know, it's good to train, good to get experience with other people, you know, because it lets you know kind of where you're standing as well, you know, and what you can do. And, you know, like in the little things I text back, oh, why don't you do da-da-da-da? And you're like, oh yeah. And then I saw in the next video, I was like, yeah, he's doing da-da-da now.
Yeah.
You know, like, well done.
Just need a prompt now then.
Yeah, just a little bit like, no, dude, I thought about that. Oh, yeah, I haven't really thought about that. So yeah, I think Wing Chun's got a bad name.
It does a bit.
I think Wing Chun's got a bad name, you know.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, you know, Wing Chun's rubbish. No, Wing Chun's there. Again, that's down to them. That's their opinion. I can't change their opinion. That will always be their argument. And I'm not going to stand an argument. That's fine. But
they're wrong.
There's always a but. No, it's a certain individuals that kill it for a lot of other people.
Yes.
And that is unfortunate. It's just all over the world. You know, even if you look at these guys that were challenge fighting fighters, and I'm like, dude, you're not a fighter. Like, I see you're not. He's a
in their element,
thoroughbred fighter. He will kill you.
Yeah,
he will kill you. But if you haven't trained in an upbeat way to learn to combat against a fighter, he's just going to walk all over you.
100%. It's such a weird thing because you have to, if you want to use your Wing Chun in like a more combat sport thing, which is what they're essentially doing, you can't stand there with all the traditional guard and expect things to work how you think they would work. They're designed to match other kung fu styles.
Yeah.
That's what you're prepared for.
So if I was to put a spanner in the works now, right? If Wing Chun is built on principles, why do people think they have fixed techniques?
Yes. This is something I did want to actually talk to you about because I know we spoke about it before a little while ago.
Why can you not have a boxer's stance but still use Wing Chun principles?
Yeah.
Why not?
I agree. That's something I've been playing with a lot recently with my sparring in Muay Thai and kickboxing and things. And that I'm having much more success than if I try and be a Wing Chun guy.
Yeah, you can't do that.
It's not right because that's not what it's for.
It's you have to, like, again, I keep using the word mobilize a little bit, but you know, like a boxer's parry, it's just the same as a boxer.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same as a boxer. You know, it's very much, if you looked at the traditional boxers, you know, they would stand like this.
Old
school boxers, right? So Wing Chun is very similar.
Yeah.
So there is lots of different ideas, you know, and that was one of what, when I crossed over from Thai boxing to Wing Chun, because during sparring, I was finding there was little gaps. You know, my tools weren't so limited, and I sort of thought to myself, you know, I'm gonna have to kind of start again at something else, you know, like. But that was, I was only training Wing Chun for probably 6 months, 7 months maybe, and it was like, could have used a forearm in there, or I could have got this tan to get this in there. And you know, I'm like 3rd student grade, if that, you know, like, and I'm like, but I'm seeing things and finding things, and footwork was changing a little bit. But if I flip that on its head now, when I'm in the sparring classes, you know, I still quite light-footed, whereas you see traditional guys are very stuck to the floor. And again, that's where I'm thinking, you haven't moved with the times.
Yeah.
You've got to move with the times. You know what I mean?
And you talk about your Wing Chun, you've grown a lot internally, like for these adjustments. Have you changed much in terms of what you teach or even practice? No. It's still the same stuff.
I have got the same student programs, the same way that I teach it, written down, and it's just boom, boom, boom. And I haven't changed it for 11 years. Everyone that you see above you has gone through exactly the same path. Now, I would say what has probably only changed ever so slightly is probably my understanding of the system.
Sure.
So since when I first started teaching, you know, 2nd tech, 3rd tech, to where I am now, you know, I move slightly differently now. So if anything, you know, as human nature, you would find the quicker answer. You know, like this shape works with this shape. You know, instead of going, you know, do a bong, then do a time, then do a punch. It's too slow.
Yeah.
It's 3 movements. It's too slow. So, you know, there may be tweaks of that. But all like the sections and everything, they're still the same. Everything's still the same. Because if the blueprint's there and it works.
Yeah, see, that seems to be a big, it's like that'll very much divide the room with Wing Chun people. Some people are very much, actually, you need to modernize it and adapt it and change a lot of things. Other people are like, well, no, this is how we found it. This is how it's worked in the past.
But this brings me back to, if it's built on principles, it should change itself.
Yes.
It should change itself. It's only down to the individual being ignorant, who's practicing Wing Chun, as to why it hasn't changed.
Yeah, I'd agree with that a lot. I think the principle-based fight anything. To be honest, a lot of systems or martial arts systems are, when you look at the principles of them, they translate a lot. And there are some universal truths of fighting, like whether you're going combat sports or you're going martial arts or whatever. There are universal truths, and that's where you seem to find a lot of similarities. Like the more I train with you and learn about the system in Wing Chun, the more I see it start to merge with other systems. Like, oh yeah, like we have Meng Gong Sao. That's just a collar tie. That's in wrestling. That's in Muay Thai. That's in everything.
Perfect.
Like, perfect. And the stuff that works, and it's in these systems for a reason. But we just have different names and different applications, slight variances of them and things. But
I think
it is interesting.
One of the other students, who's in our class, he's got a black belt in karate and a brown belt in jiu-jitsu or something, or hapkido or something. And he calls Wing Chun movements by Japanese names.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he goes, oh, this is this. And I went,
okay.
If that's the way you remember it, I'm absolutely fine with
it.
So you know what I'm talking about,
right? Yeah.
So, but I actually think that's his way of understanding it.
Yeah. So sometimes that's in there. That's how you learn it the first time.
I'd rather him understand it than not get it and get hit.
Yeah.
You know, like,
who cares what you call it?
Do it. I actually said something years ago. One of my old instructors commented on my tattoos. Said you can't teach because you have tattoos.
Really?
So my reply to that, which I still laugh about now, was so if I put on a pink rah-rah skirt and jumped in the air a few times, would that change the way that I can teach? And he went, well, no. I said, so why does that change what I do?
Yeah.
It doesn't change anything. Like, if anything, tattoos and kind of martial arts kind of work a little bit, it is. So yeah, again, it's like trying to get someone to do something without, like, it's like he degraded me there because of that. I'm like, dude, it ain't going to change anything.
No, like, does that change? It's not slowing you down much.
Not at all. Not at all. So, and again, it's like, but going back to like the person we was talking about, their way of understanding the system is just their way.
Yeah.
But they're following the principles. So if they're following the principles, they can't be wrong. It's only when you get caught up in fixed techniques is when it goes wrong. It took me a long time to understand that. It took me a long time to understand, because you mimic. You mimic your instructor. You mimic your peers in class. You go, oh, he's good. I want to move like him. It's one of the first things I ever done when I got into the first Wing Chun school that I went to. I went and trained with the scariest person in the room because he looked really scary. Yeah, and he turned out to be one of my best friends at the end of it. And he slapped me about loads. But I think he was a grade 11 when I was like 0. Yeah. So and that's what I wanted. I wanted to train with people that would do that to me.
It is a good way to grow pretty far. I love that. Like, someone that is either way bigger and stronger than you or way better than you. I love training that. And I know I'm about to take a beating. Yeah. But you come out of that, you're actually like, oh, actually, by the end of that, I started to like, oh, I'm blocking that now. I'm catching this. I'm doing that or whatever. Yeah. Even if it's a minor success and you get flatlined.
Small increments. Small increments. It may take some time, do you know what I mean? But as long as it's going the right way. Yeah.
It's just a good mental attitude, I think, isn't it?
It is, mate. It is. But, like I say, the more and more I've trained, the less I want to use it. Like, I really don't want to use it anymore. I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want to do anything with it. It's there if I need it. Yeah. And I feel comfortable that I have it. And I feel in like the world that we live in today, everybody should have some form of martial art. Yeah. Not necessarily Wing Chun. It could be any form of martial art. Yeah. A proper martial art. Like
something I've got properly self-defense.
Yes, self-defense. Like I've got good friends that run MMA gyms and stuff as well, and they're turning out some like really, really good fighters. And then obviously yourself, you train at other places. I've got some other students train at other places, and it's like it's good to get people to have an understanding. I have a teenage son. Yeah, I worry every time he goes out the door.
Yeah, fair enough.
He's done a bit with me, but now he's in my world. Like you got to let it go. Yeah. Like, but
to be fair, I've trained with him plenty. He's a weapon unto himself.
But it's a sad world that we live in now, and and everyone's angry. everybody's angry. You know, it doesn't matter. Morning, is it? You know, is it? And it's like, dude, it's morning, like morning. You know, like one of the things cycling. You know, go out, you say hello to everyone in the morning, and they don't say hello back, and you're just like, okay, well, you've had a bad morning, but and that's what I'm saying. Like the world at the moment feels like a pressure cooker, and I believe that if people could focus on something, and you know, it's not for everyone martial arts, is it? It really ain't.
That's the thing.
But just focus on something. You know, like health related. You know, gym, going for walks, bike, you know, martial arts, you know, yoga. It's not just about the hitting, you know, like you can do Pilates, you could do anything. But I think because people are generally not feeling very good about themselves at the moment, it's everyone else's problem apart from theirs.
Sure.
You know, and that just makes people angry.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't know why Brits get this reputation as being like these toodle pip, very polite. No, we're grumpy bastards, man.
Yeah, we're angry. we are proper angry. I mean, I hopefully it will change, but I can't really see it. But that's why like, I encourage people to take something up, really. And I'm not just saying that just because I do it, but it's just it's better to have it.
But also, I think it changes your life. Like people, I don't think you realise, but you will enjoy it way more than you think.
Yeah, 100%.
Like people get into it, and not every martial art is for everyone. Like some people might really hate, like grappling is one. I hate the like super tight close contact thing, but I had to learn it for jiu-jitsu, and so now I love jiu-jitsu. It's great fun, even if it was a miserable spot. But some people go in and be like, "Oh, a kickboxing class? No, I can't do. I just can't face like someone trying to hit me or something coming towards me." But then they'll go and grapple, and they'll be like, "Oh no, this is great. I really enjoy that."
What is for you? Do you know what I mean? And like yourself, you found a few that work for you. So, mate, that's only going to make you more rounded long term. You know, I'm not saying that I'm not a rounded martial artist. If anything, I'm quite biased now. Not to say that I'm not open. Do you know what I mean? But like I'm biased with Wing Chun because I've trained Wing Chun for so long.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's
I didn't think Wing Chun was going to work for me. If I was going to be very honest.
Really?
Yeah, you know, and it's just like, you know, I didn't expect to be sitting here now, so many years down the line, going, "No, you know, I'm wearing red." Ooh, you know, like, but I didn't expect that. And that is again the same sort of thing where I would say, you know, people have, you know, like their sticking points we mentioned earlier on. You know, when you start to get into the first sort of senior grades, you know, grade 9 upwards, you know, that's a sticking point for people where it's a lot of information comes in.
Yeah.
And that's normally where people's head normally go, pum, or they go, "Okay, I'm good."
Yeah.
Then first tech.
I guess it becomes a lot more technical at that level rather than most of the lower, like the beginner and intermediate grades are all about like self-defense. It's like, this is how we would deal with this.
This is against this, is this, this is how you would do this. And sometimes even for people that haven't trained a martial art before, they learn how to actually throw an attack. Because, you know, you say to a beginner, "Give me a punch," and they're like, "What?" They do some weird stuff. You know, like, you have to like really move with it, you know. But that's, again, one of the best things about training with them. But, you know, when you start to get to first tech, like people think they've done it. And, you know, as our system works, you know, you've got your 4 technician grades. They're just technical ability.
Yeah.
So you're now working technical ability. When you get to PG, that's the practitioner. So that's only when you get to PG that you start to practice everything that you've learned. But at that stage then, you know, bongs are bong, tans are tans. Nothing changes. And going forward, nothing does change. There's no like magic unicorn fairy dust. It's just your understanding of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that, I think, like, people don't get that.
Yeah. I mean, I love the philosophy of how our grades work, because a lot of places, I mean, grades are a very Western thing anyway.
Yeah, totally.
But like a lot of places, you have the traditional, like, "Oh, I'm a black belt," and you get a black belt. We don't have belts and stuff, you know, you just have the grades. But I love the idea that you've got your student grades where you're learning, you're a student, and then you have your technician grade and then your practitioner grade. Like, just what that stands for is like, you've done the system, now you're working on the technical elements, and then practitioner, and you've seen the whole system, all you're doing is practicing now.
Just practicing.
It's a cool way of having it rather than be like, "Oh, you know, I'm a black belt."
It's you know, black belts just signify, you know, you've done some time. I think. Do you know what I mean? Like, for me, you know, once I hit PG, you know, you did have that element of, "Oh, I've done it."
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I've done it. It's a big step.
You know, like, wow, you know, I've done it. But then, you know, from 2015 to where I am now, nothing's changed. But I've changed.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah, like you say, the internal.
Yeah,
stuff,
and for me, it's like, you know, it's like being a carpenter. You know, without looking, you'll pick up the hammer and go bang. That's done perfectly.
Yeah.
You know, and you picked up the right hammer. That's kind of what I'm talking about. You practice. You want that right hammer, like all the time. You know, so that's the only thing that's starting to change, and it's just understanding which hammer to pick.
That's very, very kung fu. I like that.
I'm not a carpenter. Just to say, I'm definitely not a carpenter. I can just about put my dummies together. So yeah, that's kind of where I think, you know, I wish going forward that people, you know, if this takes off for you, I wish that people have like an understanding of that. You know, like things take time. You know, things take time. Learning to drive takes time. You know, learning your job takes time. A trade takes time. And if you look at it as, it's going to take ages, chances are you're not going to finish it.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to go, I'm in this.
Yeah, you're just
let's see what I can do. Let's see what I can do. And the hardest thing is just turning up.
Yeah.
Just turn up. Because the rest of it will just fall into place.
Yeah. Just
that's
keep
all
going.
You've got to do is just turn up. The hardest thing, you know me, I'd do 60-mile round trip to go for my lessons. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, that's the hardest part. You know, but once you're in the car, I'll cycle there if I have to. It's not like, you know, it's not a drama. But once you're in the car or the train or whatever, and you're on your route, you know, it gives you time to just, you know, do all your social media rubbish that is the necessary evil now. Do you know what I mean? And then put it away.
Yeah.
Just put it away. Like, get rid of it.
Just focus.
Yeah. Work on you for that specific minute. You know, hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, seminars, whatever. You know, work on you. Come out of it, you will be a better person at the end of it. You will be 1 hour better, 2 hour better, 3 hour better. Add that to your 10, 15 minutes a day. So a lot of work builds up very quickly.
Yeah, that's the thing. It does make it. The biggest change for me, I felt in my Wing Chun, similar to you, was in lockdown when I'm just practicing solo. Drill. I've got in the habit since lockdown. I think it's been 5 days I haven't practiced all my forms every day.
That's really good.
It takes 10 minutes in the morning, just wakes you up, gets you moving.
Mate. It's minutes. And it's like I said, like when I was learning a knife form, you know, as much as I despised it, I would pick one section.
Yeah,
and I would work that one section for the week. You know, whether it's half an hour, you know, on top of, you know, some days now I'm teaching for 9 hours straight. Like, it's like mega mind blowing. But that me time is just like, right, what section do I hate the most? I'm going to train that one. You know, like
what pisses me off the most.
Absolutely jars me up, and that's the way I've been doing it. And I feel that in general, since I've become more relaxed with myself, it just becomes easier. You know, if you put pressure on yourself too much, sometimes you know, the demons just go, no. You're like, no, I'm good. But it does get the better of you. You just got to relax and enjoy it. You know, like I say, turn up.
Yeah.
That is the main thing. Just turn up, go to your private lessons, see your Sifu, you know, meet up with your friends in class. Come and just do a couple of hours, you know, as you've done previously, haven't you? So, you know, the guys before you, they meet up. Well, they was meeting up every Sunday over the park, you know, and this is a good thing because it builds good habits and it builds good relationships.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. There's more to it than just the martial art itself. Like, I've got loads of good mates now from the various martial arts.
And it's like, wow, you know, like he does. I mean, in our class, we've got black cab drivers, we've got mortgage and pension advisors, we've got plumbers, bodyguards, we've got people that work in the motor trade, you know, like yourself, housing and, you know, selling stuff and land, and, you know, it's just like, wow, like what a varied group that have all come together.
Yeah, you'd never meet them just out in the street.
Never ever. You never walk past and go, you train Wing Chun, you know, like you just, but that's what I find again, it's fascinating. And what I love about it is if anyone was in trouble in class, say, you know, like your car broke down, as proof, bring it in, and it's like you've got that kind of relationship, you know, and it's like that's a good thing because that's a positive thing that's come out of class.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, that's something that I find rewarding. You know, it's not just we're just going to turn up. And try and hit
it's
each
a different
other, you know?
different element of life.
And that's a thing that I think is overlooked as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? It's not all about like the end result. It's all the extra bits included as well.
Yeah.
Like
and you might find that some people are a little bit arsey. You know, some people just have the personality of like
not everyone's a good dude.
Badge up. Do you know what I mean? Like, and they might be a little bit arsey, but you know, when you actually get to know them a little bit more, they actually turn out to be okay. Like,
yeah.
And it's just your first perception of them, and it might be the fact that they're nervous. You know, that they're not talking to you very nicely. But you know, and that's the same thing. You know, it breaks down barriers. It lets people in, and it just all comes together. Like for one umbrella, everyone's there to train and get healthy. So yeah,
I'll tell you what, that seems like a very wholesome way to wrap up.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Thank you very much for doing this, Sifu.
Thank you very much.
That's interesting.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.